as a body of work, as a collection of pictures. And so that's, I think that's what I have to say. Somebody behind you.
Thanks for speaking. It's fantastic work. I just have a question about your editing process. Over the years, you've done several books. Who helped edit them?
I mentioned Susan Bell, my wife, who's sitting in the very rear there. She is a literary editor, and it's been my good fortune that we've worked together collaboratively, and that she has edited them together with me. So I work. The editing takes place at the picture stage first. I didn't set out to make a book in the beginning. The book came really toward the end. I set out to make a series of pictures, and so even when I made this picture, there could have been, in this case, maybe a half a dozen frames or 8 frames that I made. I first have to make that kind of decision and commit to that picture, and then bring it to the print stage, print it, live with it. And so, but early on, going back to a book, the first book that I think that was really, in a way, where I really got ignited by the possibilities of how a book could convey my authorship and could be something utterly unto itself, was a project I did called Vietnam, A Book of Changes. And it was a work that I made between 92 and 95. I, over 3 years, made half a dozen trips to Vietnam and set up a project where I worked in collaboration with a Vietnamese writer. And I had this remarkable kind of dialogue conversation with this writer, and there very much had planned to do a book. And the book that came to be was very much shaped by the experience that I had. And then I realized that books were something that could they could hold my photographs, and they could, in a way, allow them to be as they are, but that could also be woven into a very directed narrative. And so that's, where I've come to with this. It's really, in this case, the book is really quite stripped down to 63 pictures with a short accompanying text. And that's because I worked hard to invest as much as I could in the single pictures, and versus making lots of pictures and feeling like I had to do it with a kind of sprawling sequence. Any more questions? Or sure.
Yeah, I had one more question. Sorry, it was about the end of the project. How did you decide when it was the right time to bring the project to an end? Did you have any conclusions that you reached that made you decide to end the project, or in the end?
I had a fellowship to go to the American Academy in Berlin in the first half of 2008. At first I resisted it because I was working kind of feverishly to see this work through. I took the pictures with me, and I had the opportunity to reflect on what it was that I had done and what I would need to do to bring it to some kind of finality. Being in Berlin gave me this kind of great perspective, because I was able to step outside the immediacy of what it was. I mean, I had this long kind of ambitious plan that I thought really could have gone on. But I also realized that the project at that point was very much a kind of testament to an investigation of this particular political period that we were living through, and that there would be a grace and a kind of relief for me too to end the shooting part of the project, the field work, as the election took place in 2008. It had both emotionally and financially pretty much exhausted me. Making these trips, when you shoot with 8x10 film, you've got to ship the film by FedEx to your location and to your motel, and then get there and then figure out how you're going to load it, and then all the problems that I had, and it was expensive. This was not a project that was financed by somebody. A couple of the pictures, came out of assignments that I had from the Times magazine, in part because I sought that association, because I never would have gotten into a nuclear power plant without that association. So, this could be somebody's life work, but I felt like I had accomplished what it was that I had to say, and that was something that I just intuitively knew in the end, and so people ask me sometimes, well, when you're driving down the road and you see this amazing situation that relates thematically to what you've done here, do you think you want to have your camera to go make that picture, that's there as an opportunity? And I say no, I don't think about that. I'm in a way just kind of enjoying the sort of R&D phase that I'm in now, and to think, well, how do I take what I've done here and then absorb it and respect it, and get myself to some place that I haven't been before, because that's the way in which I've set a path for myself, because it would be easy to follow it in a kind of formulaic way, but I don't think that that's what's in a way kind of propelled me forward as an artist or as a human being. So maybe that's a good note to end on. Thank you again for coming and for hearing me, and thanks to the Strand too.
Thank you. Thanks to Mitch Epstein. Thank you all for coming tonight. He's going to stick around and sign copies of American Power, and we're going to form a line through these two stacks to my left, and he'll be seated up here. If you want to learn about upcoming events, check strandbooks.com. Again, thank you all very much for coming.